In Pit Lane, proudly brought to you by the Motorsports Fan Zone at Crown Resort Promenade, March 8th to 19th. The place to be for all your Grand Prix merchandise. And with thanks to the following show supporters. Yes, we're back for another season of In Pit Lane. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our 24th, I think it's 24th, 23rd year. I mean, who's counting? Yes, welcome to the program. Well, it's a busy month in motorsport. It was a busy weekend of motorsport last weekend. Coming up this weekend, of course, the Phillip Island Historic Classic. Rowan Carrick will be joining us a little bit later on to preview the big event. And we have four double passes to give away. So stay tuned. You'll find out more about that a little bit later on in the program. I'd like to tell you how wonderful it is to be back, but unfortunately we don't have time. All I have time to say is, ladies and gentlemen, this is the In Pit Lane Motorsport News. It was a hot start to the 2019 Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships at Sandown on the weekend, but that didn't stop a large turnout of cars across most categories. Sports sedans had an oversubscribed field for the opening round of their championship season, the category boosted by the addition of cars from the 5-round Victorian 2-litre Sports Sedan Series. The under 2-litre Pocket Rockets are, for many people, a more affordable entry into the world of Australia's fastest sedan category. Defending series champion Steve Howard says the affordability of the class is what's contributing to its growing popularity.
Under 2 litres obviously have less power and necessarily less stress on the engines, gearboxes, diffs. The tyres last a bit longer. The over 2 litre guys have a lot of power and obviously go a lot faster. But having a good grid of under 2 litre cars means that we can all race together with similar sorts of cars. Similar power. There's a bit of difference between the first and last as there is in most grids. It's a lot of fun and a lot of good people. In 1998 I purchased a car from the wreckers for $150, a 1975 Corolla, and since that day till this day I've spent time, money and effort on it, upgrading it, making better than last year and just continuing doing that. I've spent quite a lot of money over the years between 99 and now. It's turned into a fast car. Probably the last 5 or 6 years have been the massive amounts of improvements with better gearboxes, better diffs, better pieces like that, wider tyres. But it's been a fun trip along the way. But the money spent, all little improvements the whole way, and turned out to be good.
A new, even more affordable subclass to the outright machines are the Nissan Pulsars. Like the popular one-make Hyundai Excel series, the Pulsars are an affordable entry into the sport, especially for young drivers like Sandown debut winner Ben Hamilton.
Well, apart from just chucking out all the interior and throwing in a roll cage with some track tyres, some race suspension, and that's kind of what the whole Pulsar series is about. You know, it's trying to be as cost-effective, cheap form of competitive motor racing as it can be. There's other little modifications you can make, like moving the battery from the engine bay into somewhere else in the car, extractors on the car, all these other little ones that you can make, and a few people choose to do it. I haven't. Apart from moving the battery, that's really about it. You know, it's try to keep it as cost effective as possible and close racing as possible. That's probably Pulsars in a nutshell. You look at our lap times, for example, here. I think the Pulsars, they do, well, I know we did last year, we were doing high 30s, 1 minute 30s that is. But this year, obviously with the heat, it's a little bit slower, but I'm pretty sure the XLs, we nail them in a straight line. We go past them quite easily. It's probably, in a sense, a little bit cheaper, personally, because I'm pretty sure with the XLs, they can have different types of suspension, all that. It really just depends on how much a person wants to tip into their car. For me, it's not much. For some other Pulsars, especially in New South Wales, they get grids of 30 plus cars. It's massive in New South Wales. some of them can tip in quite a little bit of cash. But you know, the Pulsar series, I chose that purely because it's a little bit faster, a little bit more cost effective, and it's just a great group of people, especially in Victoria.
Steve Howard won all 3 races for the class over the weekend to kick off his championship defence, leading home the mini pair of Ian McDougall and Craig Linsell. Robert Pepper fought back over the weekend and took out the overall points in the Pulsars ahead of Joshua Gay and Race 2 winner Hamilton. The next round of the series will be another combined round with the outright cars at Phillip Island in May. Melbourne's heatwave conditions kept numbers low at last Friday's Fast Friday off-street drag meeting at Calder Park. All that meant is that for those who braved the heat, they got plenty of track time. Once again, there was no shortage of variety in the staging lanes, with everything from high-tech Euro and Korean through to old-school American muscle. Mazdas are always a popular mark at the off-street drags, but 2 of the quickest on Friday night took very different approaches to a fast pass down the Calder Park quarter mile.
Got a 77 Mazda Capella. It's a piston variant originally. It's got a 13B turbo in it, a Series 5 engine. It's got a Jatco 3-speed, makes 320 kilowatt at the wheels. It's got a 9-inch diff and all that sort of thing in it, just running on pump 98 fuel. Tonight it's a bit hot. I've only managed a 10.7. Previously I've gone a 9.93 at 133 mile an hour. So yeah, temperature's definitely sucking a bit of power out of it and heating things up a bit. So yeah.
It's based on a 6-litre iron block, and we've stroked it out to a 408, running 2 Garrett GT 35 82R turbos. Yeah, some headwork, cams, just the usual, you know, nothing over the top, but it seems to all work, and running a power glide transmission, and yeah, just the 9-inch diff, and yeah, so far.
I love the concept of the fact that, you know, a twin turbocharged 6.2 litre motor is nothing over the top in a Capella. Tell us about the long-term plans for the car. I mean, you are just developing it?
Yeah, we sort of want to crack that 7-second mark. So today we've gone an 8.1. Tonight we're getting the mile an hour, just not quite getting it down the track, but yeah, we'll get there.
The next Fast Friday is on March the 15th, and everyone concerned will no doubt be hoping for somewhat cooler conditions. The secret to racing success last weekend was clearly to be driving a Mustang, or Mustang derivative. Scott McLaughlin kicked off the defence of his Australian Supercars Championship in style, winning the Adelaide 500 to give Ford's pony car a win on debut. The young Kiwi won both heats to take the overall victory ahead of arch rivals Shane van Gisbergen and Jamie Whincup. In New South Wales, third-generation racer Aaron Seaton gave Mustang another win, this time in the growing TA2 Championships. Seaton won 2 of the 3 races to take the early season's points lead ahead of Race 3 winner George Madecki and Ashley Jarvis. More Mustang domination in the USA as Joey Logano took his car to victory at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Kevin Harvick won the first stage of the race before Logano took the lead on lap 96, passing early leader Brad Keselowski. Logano held on to take the second stage. Harvick led early in stage 3, but Logano grabbed the lead again on lap 212, holding out teammate Keselowski for a Mustang 1-2. It's not all good news on the Ford front, though, with the confirmation that the Blue Oval will withdraw from the World Endurance Championship after this year's Le Mans 24 Hours. Ford Performance boss Mark Rushbrook all but confirmed the end of the 4-year program as he expressed his appreciation to the event organisers. We'd like to thank the ACO for allowing us 4 GTE Pro entries for the Le Mans 24 Hours this year, he said. The factory Ford GTs have competed as a 4-car team in the past 3 seasons, and we believe that they've been extremely popular with the fans. So we're thrilled that sports car fans from around the world will get to see them all run together as a team one more year. The bad news doesn't end there for the ACO, with the belief that BMW are also set to leave the series after this year's Le Mans. You can tell by both the quality of my voice and the quality of the typing in the graphics that it was 4 o'clock in the morning when I did that story. We will sort that out for Channel 31. We will sort it out. Channel 31 viewers, it will be seamless. You won't know there was ever a problem. Speaking of Channel 31, we're going to take a break right now, and when we come back, we're going to preview the big Phillip Island Historic Classic coming up this weekend with our guest Rowan Carrig. Don't go away. You're watching In Pit Lane. We'll be right back. Okay. So so we'll get Rowan in if we could. For all of you watching on Facebook and the In Pit Lane YouTube channel. Look, it's been a very hectic couple of days to get everything together. We'll just get just slide Rowan in alongside me here. But yes, but anyway, we're back. We're absolutely delighted to be back here on both YouTube, Facebook, and of course Channel 31 Melbourne. The reason that we are here at all comes down, of course, to sponsorship, and we must say a huge thank you to the Motorsport Fan Zone at Crown Resort Promenade. It takes place from March 8th to the 19th, and look, hopefully you know that what's happening is it's sort of a festival, a carnival of motorsport, in particular Formula One. You'll get all of the latest merch. You'll get some merch from years gone by. You'll get all sorts of collector's items at the Motorsports Fan Zone at Crown Resort Promenade. Also, there's cars on display. We've got race cars. Renault have got a huge display. Of course, Daniel Ricciardo. Everybody's going to be talking about Renault, and everybody's going to be in the yellow and black this year. If you want to get a jump on everybody else and get the official Renault Sport gear earlier than most, head on down to the Motorsport Fan Zone. Look, we really do appreciate that them coming on board, because, as I said, without sponsors, we simply can't do this program. So, on behalf of everybody here at In Pit Lane and, of course, RMI TV Student Television, we would like to say thank you to the Motorsport Fan Zone at Crown Resort Promenade, happening March 8th to the 19th. So, thank you to Troy and his family and those guys for that. We're going to be down at the Fan Zone on Saturday, actually. Going to be down there sort of grabbing some Vox Pops, doing some interviews. So if you're down, if you get down there around sort of, 1:30, 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, this Saturday, and you're having a look around, we'll wave the camera around and we'll get you to tell us your picks and your predictions for the Australian Formula One Grand Prix at Albert Park. But, of course, coming up this weekend and coming up for our Channel 31 viewers will be the Phillip Island Historic Classic. And as I said, for those of you watching on YouTube, you've got to jump on everybody on 31, because we are going to, a little bit later on in the program, give away four double passes to the Classic coming up this weekend, to Saturday and Sunday. So that's coming up, and you'll get a jump on everybody watching on Channel 31. So, once again, thank you to the Victorian Historic Racing Register for making that possible. So I think if we're ready in the control room, if everybody's happy there, we're still doing a few things. As you can see, it's very much the first show back for the year. So we're just sort of sorting out a few teething problems, but apart from that, everything is fine. Yes, coming up in a couple of weeks' time as well. You saw on the news the Fast Friday at Calder Park. A couple of weeks ago, they had a massive crowd out there. Now, unfortunately, Friday night it was like over 40 degrees in the afternoon, but it turned into a beautiful night, and the people who turned up got run after run after run, because there was no huge crowd to sort of work through. So it was a really great night of value. So if you've ever wanted to find out what your car will do down the quarter mile, your street car, and any street car, it does, as long as it's roadworthy and it's not falling to pieces and is incredibly dangerous, all you need is an approved crash helmet, a long-sleeved shirt and some long trousers and decent shoes, and you can go drag racing. So that's coming up the 15th of March, Fast Friday at Melbourne's Calder Park. Also coming up at Calder Park, King of the Hill, their big meeting coming up in April, and once again In Pit Lane will be out there and we'll be streaming that live, as we did with the previous King of the Hill a few weeks ago. So I think Mike's out there just adjusting some cameras and twiddling some knobs and doing other technical director type things. That speaking of technical directors, I need technical directors to work on my hair. Any hairdressers out there would like to have a sort of sponsorship deal, come and see us, because it costs a lot of money to prepare this. I've only got 6 left and 3 of them are loose. We're coming back. We're coming back. Be prepared. We're coming back.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Welcome back to In Pit Lane. Well, a part of the lead up to the Australian Grand Prix every year is, of course, what has become now the biggest event of its kind in the Southern Hemisphere, the annual Phillip Island Historic Classic. Our guest tonight will be in competition on the weekend. He'll be racing in one of the more, well, dare we say it, modern historic cars. He's racing in Formula Holden in groups P and Q, and we'll find out a bit about PQ and R, and we'll find out a bit about what all that means in just a moment when we catch up with Rowan Carrick. Rowan, thanks for joining us on In Pit Lane.
Thanks very much, Brett.
Now, let's talk about, when I say this is the biggest event of its kind in the Southern Hemisphere, it really, in international terms, how big is the Classic?
Well, the Classic has actually been voted and represented Australia in the international awards, and in previous years it's finished fourth, and I think the best we finished was maybe third, but yeah, it's recognised worldwide as one of the best.
And that's coming up
motorsport.
against things like Goodwood and Silverstone and Laguna Seca
Monterey.
and all
Yep.
that, Monterey, all of those sorts of things. So
Yep.
that's very high praise indeed. What about this year? Well, one thing that we find with the because of its proximity to the Grand Prix, that we do get quite a few internationals out. As far as you know, we've got another good field of internationals this year.
We've got a smaller field, but a quality field. We've got a Cooper Maserati, ex-Roy Salvadori car, Dulon Ferrari. There's a Formula Ford. Andy Newell's bringing a Formula Ford out to be part of the 50th anniversary race meeting at the Classic.
And that'll be a huge field.
Massive. I think they're oversubscribed, so the grid caters for 55 cars, and I think there's about 5 waiting for the others to fall off if need be.
And the others will fall off.
We hope so for them, I guess.
And also, when mentioning 50, we've got 50 years of being celebrated. I think we've got the HRT is being celebrated, and
Yeah,
also the Holden Racing Team, and something that I'm looking forward to, 50 years of the Ford Capri, which is one of my favourite cars.
Yeah, Ford Capri, Holden dealer team. Bowell Nagari is also, or Bowell itself is celebrating 50 years, so 1969 was obviously a big year.
Because that's the thing about the Historic Classic, is that it's not just what happens on the track. I mean, you've got all of the things that are happening in the pits. There's trade shows, there's a whole festival involved, and now there's this huge sort of, car show that rivals anything that you would see, at anything like Motor Classic or any of those other things.
That's right. The people who bring down their show cars see it as big as an event as we people who are running on the circuit. So yeah, it's a massive meeting, and I'd encourage anyone just to come and have a look.
Now, tell us about what you're running in terms of both the category and the car you're running.
Okay, Group Q and R is winged open wheelers, wings and slicks open wheelers. Q is from 1973 through to 1978, and R is 1978 and various end dates depending on the category of car, whether it be a Pacific or a Holden, F2, Formula One. So they have various end dates.
Yeah, because your category, I mean, we will be seeing, well, we know, of course, the Formula 5000s have a huge sort of following, but in your category, there are some Formula 1 cars running, are there not?
Yes, we've got Guido Belgiorno Nettis, who runs 2 156/85 Ferraris, ex-Michele Alboreto and Stefan Johansson. He has the pigeon pair, so if one's not working, he can fire up the other one and off he goes. And
the thing about that is for fans of the Tifosi, this might be our last opportunity to see these cars in Australia for a while. I believe they both are for sale.
Yeah, as I understand it, the Ferraris are for sale. We hope they will stay in Australia, but they are for sale.
Yeah, I shudder to think what they would be worth. Tell us about the car. Your car is not. It's 100% Australian made.
It is. It was copied from its design came from a March '87B Formula 3000. It was built by.
Which was a very pretty little car.
It was. The '87B won the European F3000 Championship with Stefano Modena driving it. In '88, Chris Hocking, the builder and designer of our cars, brought one into the country and then set about copying it, because at that stage carbon fibre tub cars weren't permitted in the series, so he copied it in aluminium honeycomb.
Now, also with Formula Holden, I mean, we went through sort of, the Formula 5000, then into Formula Atlantic Pacific, which, and we tend to forget that did have a great deal of success for a short time as well. Formula Holden sort of came afterwards, and for a while there was very, very big. So, but for people who don't remember or don't know Formula Holden, or Formula Brabham as it was sometimes known, what were the rules for that? What sort of engine are you running, and what sort of cars are they?
It runs the engine that most people would know out of the first V6 Holden, which was the VN model. So it's running a 3.8 litre fuel-injected V6. They're quite modified, produce about 340 horsepower.
Yeah, Larry Perkins did the originals, didn't he?
That's right, yes. Yep. ACL originally did them, and then Perkins took them on and really got them reliable and made them go quite well.
So how do you get on in your category? We saw earlier the sports sedans, the 2-litre sports sedan guys talking about the speed differential. You're in there with full-on Formula 1 cars. Occasionally you might have the odd Formula 5000 joining you. Formula Pacific, Formula 2 cars, a lot of really seriously quick cars. How do you all sort of mix in together and coexist?
Well, in our category, I think everyone is very, very cognizant of that fact that if they're in a fast car, they're taking care of the guys in the slower cars and making sure they're giving them room and not dive bombing them. Likewise, the guys in the slower cars are giving the faster guys a lot of room. So everyone races pretty well. We rarely have any coming togethers. Generally, if they do happen, it's off the start when everyone's got the red mist on.
Talking about Formula Holdens, there's a very famous Formula Holden coming back hopefully this weekend as well. It's a car with a very famous, well-known Australian driver. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's right. The Winfield Spa is coming back. That was a car that Mark Scaife drove he won the championship in 91 and 92 in that car. It appeared in the Winfield livery in 92 when the Gibson Motorsport went on to
How do you
Winfield.
tackle that in the historic racing? I mean, you want to keep the cars as close to... But we had a picture which you sent us and we sort of checked about using that and they went, no, you'd better not. Is that becoming a problem?
There's an exemption under CAM's ruling and FIA ruling that the cigarette sponsorship can be run. The owners of those vehicles do have to sign a disclaimer that they're receiving no benefit or gain from the fact that they have got this cigarette sponsorship on the car.
Yeah, I know it's very difficult for us. I mean, we saw at the Grand Prix a couple of years ago with the Group C era cars that they had to sort of repaint them and all that. And they just didn't. We knew what they were, but they just did not look the same.
Yeah, that's right. This the SPA is a completely unrestored car. It's been sitting laid up in a private collection for the last 27 years, and it's making its return now. So it's in absolute pristine condition. It's a beautiful car.
Well, we got racing for our Channel 31 viewers. There's practice tomorrow, Friday, and qualifying, and then we got races Saturday and Sunday, I believe.
That's right. Yep.
Okay, well, look, stay with us for the moment because we're just about to take a break. But when we come back, we do, as I said, courtesy of the Victorian Historic Racing Register, have 4 double passes to give away, and it's a very, very complicated competition. So, put your thinking caps on, and we'll tell you how to win that when we return from this break. You're watching In Pit Lane, The Return, Series 1. 23 years we've been going. My God, you don't get that for murder. We will be seeing you in just a moment. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Okay, well, while we have our live YouTube and Facebook people online, what else might we be seeing down there with your sort of...
There's a big collection of some 45 Group C and A cars, which I think is the biggest gathering of those cars to happen in memory, I think.
So they're all the things like the A9X Tiranas, the XD Falcons, those sorts of... And they are the original cars. These aren't replicas. They're the original things. Yep. It's not like sort of Group N or something where all the touring car masters where they're sports sedans now. That's
right. I mean, we've got the Bob Morris A9X. We've got Jim Richards in the JPS 635 Group C car. There's heaps of cars. There's probably too many to mention. So just get down and have a look.
As you mentioned, also the thing is there are drivers. There are drivers as well. You mentioned Jim Richards, but in terms of not just people who are driving, but people who will be down there for the weekend. I think Dick Johnson is coming down. I think he's the patron of the event.
That's right. Dick's patron of the meeting. We've also got John Bowe, Fred Gibson will be there, Dick, as you mentioned, Kevin Bartlett, Alfie Costanzo is going to be there, Brian Sampson. I'm just trying to think of all the other winners. There's about 12 or 15 winners of the race. Dave Reynolds is going to be there. He's an ambassador for our club. So, yeah, look, if you're autograph hunting, it's a great spot to come down and see the guys and say good day.
Yeah, that's one thing. If you've got any like memorabilia at home, any sort of those models of the JPS BMW or an early A9X Tirana or something, and you want that stuff autographed, this is the place to go because all of those drivers will be there, and they will just be sitting down there for hours on end with that pen in hand to sign pretty much anything you throw in front of them, as long as it's not a baby or a cheque. So you'll be right. So we're going to come back in just a moment for 31 and tell people how you can win that. How you can win those passes. We'll do it in a moment, but I would just like to thank, we talked about our friends at the Motorsports Fan Zone a little bit earlier. Also, you probably saw at the start of the show, in Pit Lane support sponsors, people like the 2 Litre Sports Sedan Club of Victoria and also the Motoring Diary, who are going to bring you our What's On straight after I shut up. You will see what's on this weekend, which is brought to you by the Motoring Diary. Once again, they've got behind us. We just put this out there. We tried the whole Patreon thing and all that. We're just looking for, basically a little bit of love from your end, just to say that you want us to keep doing what we're doing and to help us out. Believe it or not, it does cost an awful lot of money and an awful lot of time to do this stuff. We've got very old equipment. It needs to be maintained. You probably noticed, you must have noticed the shaky cam from Sandown. That was because our tripod mount broke. It's not; those things aren't cheap to repair. So we are looking for sponsors. If you think if you're a club or a business and you'd like to like to help us out, we'd certainly like to hear from you. Also, we're still looking for a sponsor for our second series, and that's going to take in events like Island Magic, the Sandown 500, pretty much everything that's happening in the second half of the year. So once again, if you're a business out there and you're looking for affordable television or online advertising, contact us here at In Pit Lane. Advertise at In Pit Lane. That's the email address. Advertise at inpitlane.com, and we'll hopefully be back there. Where we are, we've got the reach out to the world. Feed the world. No, don't bother feeding the world. Just give us money. That's what we need. The world will be a happier place, or at least this little small part of it. But anyway, I think we're just about ready to welcome back our friends from Channel 31 now with a segment called What's On. Here it is.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
What's On in Motorsport, brought to you by the Motoring Diary, your must-have guide for all motoring enthusiasts. Coming up this week in motorsport, it's the biggest event of its kind in the Southern Hemisphere, the Phillip Island Historic Festival of Motorsport. 3 big days of on-track action and an off-field display to rival any major classic car show around the world. Stay tuned as In Pit Lane has 4 double passes to give away. Wednesday, March 13th, and an exciting new event as the World Formula One Championship is officially launched in Melbourne's Federation Square. All the top drivers will be there, plus there's live music and Formula One films on the big screen. The event kicks off at 3 p.m, with the Formula One drivers arriving at 5. Winton plays host to the opening round of the AASA Australian Motor Racing Series this weekend. There's events for the Mazda RX-8 Cup, Formula 3 Production and Super TT, and the debut of the new Thundersport Series. And get a whole shot on your Grand Prix week celebrations with the Motorsports Fan Zone, starting this Friday at Crown Promenade. There's race cars and supercarts on display, a feature display by Renault, and all the F1 merchandise your credit card can survive. The event will run until March 19th. Welcome back to In Pit Lane. Well, as we said earlier in the program, we have four double passes to give away to this weekend's action down at Phillip Island. Now, obviously, because for you watching on Channel 31, that's actually tomorrow. So we're giving away tickets for Saturday and Sunday only, and you will have to pick them up down at the credentials office at Phillip Island. And in order for you to enter this competition, we're going to do something this is very complicated. What you've got to do is you've got to send us your name and your email address to the show at inpitlane.com. Just send us an email with Phillip Island competition as the subject line, and at 9 a.m. this Friday we will close off the competition. We'll put everybody in an electronic hat, we'll press a button, and we'll draw out 4 lucky winners of those passes to this weekend's Phillip Island Historic Classic, where you can see our guest Rowan Carrick in action. So Rowan, for people who are going down there, if people they want to come out and sort of talk to you, have a look at your car and all that, would you be happy for them to do that?
Absolutely, always happy to chat to people. We'll be in Garage 42 on Pit Lane.
Okay, so there you go, Garage 42 in Pit Lane, as it were, and you can find out all about Rowan's car and no doubt other Group P, Q and R cars that will be there on the weekend. So Rowan, thanks for coming in and joining us. Good luck on the weekend. Hopefully it's not as hot as it was last weekend. Hopefully it's not as cold as it can get at Phillip Island.
Thanks very much, Brett.
But thanks for joining us in Pit Lane. And thank you to you for joining us at home. Now, next week on the program, yes, next week it is our Grand Prix preview show, and we're hoping to have some people involved in the Grand Prix. There, we might even head out on Wednesday to the launch or something. I'm not really sure, but next week we'll have all the preview of the Australian Formula One Grand Prix, all of the latest news as the cars arrive in Australia for the big event, the opening round of the World Championship. Of course, we will be down at Phillip Island on the weekend, so you'll be able to, if you, for some reason you can't make it down, you're interstate or overseas, yes, we will have some footage from Phillip Island over the weekend of a number of the categories, and hopefully we'll be able to get out into the car park. That's the problem. It is just so busy down there. You just can't see everything. So look, if you're thinking of going down, try and go down at least 2 days, because it's going to take you that much time. But that's all we have time for this week on In Pit Lane. Now, we normally take you out with some live music, but there was just so much to get. We just didn't have time tonight. So hopefully next week we'll have some live music again. I could sing you out, but no, I won't do that to you. Instead, all I will say is, once again, thank you for watching In Pit Lane. It's great to be back. Thank you to RMI TV for once again making this possible, and to our sponsors and supporting sponsors. To all of you out there who have been watching us for so long and who were seemingly very happy that we were coming back, thank you very much. We're glad to be here. We'll see you next week, same time, 9 o'clock Thursday nights on Channel 31. And of course, you can watch us record it live on demand on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel every Tuesday night at about 9 o'clock. Same with Facebook as well, as long as the stream stays up. So from all of us here at In Pit Lane, until we see you next week, it's good night and bye for now.